All right. Welcome to day 3 of the Restaurants Canada show and this very special edition of the SVK Network show. We have Dennis Kozak here from TD Commercial Banking. He's the Senior Manager of Commercial Services and here to talk about, specifically all the financial tools that can help you with in the food service industry. So welcome to the show. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, very, very exciting and actually very there's never been a better time to talk about this. I think the one thing you see in the news about food service is how costs have never been higher, labor has never been higher, food supply, as well as trying to be sustainable and having to then increase your cost of sustainable packaging. So I think now more than ever, people need great tailored financial services specifically for food service to help get through these challenging times. So what have you seen in the industry as far as some of the common problems that food service is running into now that they weren't really dealing with maybe a couple of years ago?
For sure. So, I think the obvious one is inflation.
Yep.
I think inflation is running rampantly high around the economy, and it's publicized everywhere, right?
Yeah.
When I think of the food service space, the food costs alone they're high all the way up the line.
Yeah.
From at the restaurant level all the way to the production level, right? Cost of real estate, and not necessarily buying from an interest rate perspective, but more about leasing. We've seen companies, especially in the manufacturing side, that their leases are coming up for renewal, and they're sticker shock when they see what the new lease rates are going to be. It's a surprise to a lot of people because it's been fairly stable for so many years. The other challenge is the supply chain. I think that's also obvious within people in the industry. A lot of our customers have had to buy and hold more inventory or purchase inventory in bulk because they're not sure if that next shipment is going to arrive on time.
Yep.
So what does that mean? Their initial cash outlay is higher because they're buying more. They need more storage space because they need to hold on to more inventory, ideally so they can deliver to their customers, which is ultimately the goal for everybody.
Right, and it's harder than ever to predict, flow, right? So it's how many people are going to be in my restaurants, are there holidays coming up? But I've definitely talked to a lot of restaurants that are talking about that supply chain issue, that if you can't either buy more stock up front or even sometimes make sure you're paying your bills on time, and not to say that people don't want to pay their bills, but sometimes, you work with Cisco, they take money out every Friday, but then you have a specific supplier that every couple of weeks, on one of these few days this happens. So I'm assuming you guys have financial tools that can really help restaurants manage when it comes to their billing and their cash flow.
Absolutely. So the approach that we take with our clients is we take a deep dive. We want to really understand our customer's business.
Yeah.
And when we approach an existing customer, a prospective customer, we take a lot of time to do that, and it's near and dear to our approach to the market. Great. The other part to that is knowing that there might be seasonality, knowing that there might be a hiccup down the road, so we can put a proactive solution in place versus a reactive solution. So first of all, it's a much stronger relationship when you try to foresee these situations that could come up.
Yeah.
And then we obviously have flexible working capital financing options, inventory financing options, and we can do that on a regular basis or on an intermittent basis, depending on the business that we're talking to, right?
Right.
Obviously cash is king, and in the restaurant space, the quicker they get paid, the quicker everybody else can get paid with as little stress on the system.
Tipping out servers, everything.
Absolutely.
And it's funny you talk about seasonality. It's one thing to predict seasonality, we have holidays, Christmas, things like that. It's another thing to live in Canada and try to predict when am I going to get to open my patio.
Absolutely.
We just went through an ice storm last week. I was in Ottawa. We lost power. We had an ice storm. It was winter again, and now the patios are open. It's how do you manage that? So that's got to be a huge challenge. So I mean, as you said, you guys have the financial experts, specifically to food service. So that was something that I learned today, is that not just commercial banking specialists, but you have specific people who are food service experts that know not just the financial side, but the actual operational side. So,
absolutely. So let me talk about that for a minute, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
A few years ago, we identified an opportunity in what we refer to as the food and beverage industry, which is food service, hospitality, manufacturing, all the way up the line.
Yeah.
And what we learned was there are certain nuances to that industry that are specific to food and beverage that don't exist predominantly in other sectors.
Yeah.
Packaging is a big one.
Especially now, yeah.
Food and beverage manufacturers, they have to put a lot of money out for packaging materials.
Yep.
Because that's how you get their goods to market, right? quotas on the manufacturing side. Like that's the supply chain managed spaces. A lot of people don't understand what that means. So we made a decision to have experts in the field that know this stuff, so that when a company does need some financial assistance, we're ready to support them, and we know a thing or two about it already at a high level. Of course, every business is going to be different.
Yep.
But I find that the market appreciates that we're coming in at some level of expertise versus I don't know anything about this. Teach me.
And and I think it's important because it's not even just understanding like what a restaurant is. It's about actually appreciating what it's like to work in a restaurant at 11 a.m. before the rush starts, or to get in before the dinner rush, or to appreciate the interactions between like the kitchen staff and the service staff. And you guys know this, and you guys can help, truly speak to what their pain points are.
Absolutely. I mean, the bakeries start at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't think about that when you walk in to buy your loaf of bread every day.
And it's actually funny. I had a funny story about a bakery where I was working at a security company at the time, and let's just say that we found out that the bakers were coming in, instead of coming in at 3 or 4 to start cooking everything to be fresh, they would come in at 1 or 2 at midnight, and they were wondering, why is our product, getting stale?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so then it was actually we've been spending more money to prepare more fresh stuff, and then they found out the person was coming in too early. So, that was one way to solve the problem. So obviously the rise of digital technology, there's been more ways than ever to, interact with businesses, whether it's, we've got, there's crypto, there's card not present transactions, and people are ordering from restaurants, from their home, from the counter, from the table. So what are some of the solutions that you guys are offering to help, navigate this new landscape?
For sure. So first of all, TD has a continuous review and investment in emerging technologies right across the board. As a customer-centric organization, the bank tries to stay ahead of changing customer expectations. Things like the cell phone has become the new way of getting things done.
Yeah.
Right? Like you mentioned ordering food. Like how many times am I sitting at my desk? Oh, I'm hungry, and 2 minutes later, it's on the way, right? Like it's pretty cool technology.
Sure, and the convenience of the order, the payment side has to be just as convenient, right?
Absolutely.
And restaurants need to be flexible, especially you guys obviously went through an acceleration when the pandemic hit, because it was now nobody wanted cash. Cash was king, and now it's all contactless, cashless, and then people had to adapt quickly to this, right?
Well, so it's interesting you bring that up, because we've had the electronic banking services for a long time, and it's certainly with our customer base, we're promoting it. A, it makes life easier for them, but B, when you start talking about fraud, check fraud is rampant still. So to get away from that, for any business owner, especially in the food service space, if you can move money electronically, it makes things easier for everybody. So, the investment and improvement of the technology is always at play. I know our web banking platform, which we have a specific one for our commercial banking clients, they're working to put it all mobile based. It's a work in process right now, but that will certainly help. It'll certainly help, I think, all of our business owners as the digital technology keeps coming into play. But we also have fully integrated merchant solutions, which is near and dear to the hospitality space for sure.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Right. So we have that as a package with the rest of our banking services. So we try to stay ahead of where the industry is going, but TD is certainly investing in technology as it's coming at them.
Yeah, and I remember actually there was a big rise in fraud cases with card not present, because people were pumping in the details and things like that. So I actually remember working with TD to add in that extra layer of security, including postal codes. So we were able to remove a lot of the chargebacks. But that was not a big problem before the pandemic, when it was more on the card present side. So
right.
I saw it firsthand that you guys innovated on that very quickly to make some of our customers very happy.
Well, I remember when March hit, and our customers that were, it's inertia. They get used to doing things a certain way, and it works for them, and that's fine. But now everything's closed. The drive to move to electronic banking services, it was insane. It was eye-opening to a lot of our customers that, we can actually do this stuff. And now there's no going back, right?
That's it. And I don't think anybody was, and in food service in general, you want to make sure you're innovating, but at the same time, you're not going to go out of your way to make extra work, or to, it needs to be a real pain point. And obviously it became a real pain point for the entire country, the entire world. So,
absolutely.
But and even on that same vein, you guys would be the ones to talk to, I think, when it comes to how do restaurants now, expand what they're doing? How do they expand their operations and invest and reinvest in their businesses? As we just went through this period of let's survive, let's buy whatever tools we need. Now people are saying we're going from let's just keep the doors open to this is the kind of the new reality we're in, and we're probably not going to go all the way back. So now, and we're operating efficiently. How do we now invest? And so how can you guys help restaurants reinvest in their business?
For sure. So I'll speak to my specific commercial banking team.
Yeah.
We take a full relationship approach, and we bring the entire bank with us. So what does that mean? I think of a restaurant, and I think of kitchen equipment. So we have an equipment financing specialization where loans or leases that they'll provide to restaurants, any industry really. But I'll keep it specific to food service right now. We do offer the Canada Small Business Financing Loan Program, which every bank has access to. It's sponsored by the federal government. And so for smaller operators, that's a good option if they need to make an investment. And they might be in the super growth phase, and when you're growing fast, you're eating cash, so you don't have the pile over here ready to invest. Yeah. So that's a solution sometimes where for smaller companies, if they need access to capital, what we call the CSBFL loan is certainly an option. Okay. But our commercial banking team, we're generalists in the type of financing we provide, whether it's acquisition of real estate, renovation of real estate, equipment financing, inventory financing. And if we don't do it, we generally know someone in the bank that can.
Right.
So, for example, we have a separate arm for real estate development. We would make an introduction to them, and they would run with that.
And sometimes that's the most important piece, because sometimes when you're talking to somebody, it's like, if you know what you don't know, you at least know somebody. Like you're going to know the questions, even if you're not the expert. That food service, people coming from food service, they may not know to ask those questions.
Absolutely.
You may not have the answer, but you know the questions to ask. Like, have you talked to, have you considered this? And if they say no, great. Well, I'm not the guy, but I know the guy or the girl that can help you out. So it's very, very cool.
Absolutely. We call that delivering the bank. So call us, and don't be shy, don't be scared. There's no dumb questions in this space, especially during these times, right? We will generally know someone or some way to support you, assist you with what your pain points are, right?
Well, and I know that some some in food service or entertainment, probably starting last year, but maybe not even. Maybe some restaurants are still, or food service places are still like this. But we were working with some large venues who weren't operating, and then it was okay, we're going to run this year, and it was like, cool, what do we have left? And some of the equipment was leased, so it was sent back. Some of it was sold off because people needed it during the pandemic, and so it was like there was a massive capital expense to get the business up and running again.
Absolutely.
So for any kind of restaurant or venue that might be in the space of like, hey, you know what, this is the year that I reopen, there's going to be a big capital outlay there. I guess you kind of mentioned some programs that they can apply to, right?
Absolutely. And the post-pandemic world, I don't think we truly know, and this is my opinion, Dennis's opinion. I don't think we truly know how it's going to unfold yet, right? Like, it's still fairly new into that post-COVID world.
Yeah.
So, for instances like what you were saying about venue operators, it's a big cost. So, I'll share a story. In the midst of 2020, we had to go back into our office, and it was closed. Like, we were all working from home, and it was an eerie feeling. The calendars were still March; it was August. Yeah. There's jackets still hanging off the chairs because it was in March when we all went home. St.
Patrick's Day stuff in the corner.
Absolutely, right? But 3 years later, you're brushing dust off of equipment. Does this stuff still work, right?
Yeah.
So absolutely. There's capital expenditures required, and they don't even know what that looks like yet. So when we're absolutely here to help in that case.
And I use the example of the pandemic, but we're even talking about every business that's seasonal, right? So everybody's now, they're taking the tarps off, they're removing the dust, and they're seeing, does this turn on, right? Oh, the cables, then choose the cables. Oh man, I need to invest in some new systems. And what, do we need to just get the doors open, or hey, can we actually, everything does work. Maybe we can invest in adding some more, whether it's a bigger kitchen or another bar, things like that, so they can come talk to you guys.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So have you got a chance to walk around the show, and anything interesting that you've seen at the show that might surprise you or that you were just expecting?
So this is my first time at the show, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how big it was. I'll say that. This is impressive. I'd encourage everyone to come check this out if they have the opportunity to. We talk about technology. I think there was robot servers back there somewhere. That's pretty cool stuff. There's also like some new kitchen equipment. The automation that's going into that is crazy, and not on the big scale, on the small scale.
And these are really the types of investments that you can help with because right now restaurants need to be more efficient than ever, and there's a lot of automation and a lot of manual steps of service that technology solves now. And so, I mean, if you're at the Restaurants Canada show, or if you're not, I mean, definitely check out all of the materials online because there might be a solution you can put in your kitchen, and Dennis's team can help you finance it. So, I mean, that's great.
Yeah, reach out anytime.
Yeah, and I think so. We were talking earlier, like if anybody wants to engage, they don't actually have to have a project in mind. They could just literally be getting ready to open their doors again, or they could just say, hey, we had winter's over, we're getting into a new season, we're ramping up for a busy season, and they just want to have a conversation. So you said you have food service experts, they can reach out. What's the best way for them to get in contact?
For sure. So my LinkedIn, you can reach out to me on that. That might be an easy way. And a message there. I'm quite busy, but I have a team of account managers that are more than happy to engage. And again, it's not about I need a loan or I need this now. This is more about let's talk.
Yeah.
Right. And we see we're in a lot of spaces in the food and beverage sector in the GTA. We actually have two offices that cover this. My team, Mississauga and Etobicoke, we cover the west end of the GTA. We have another team at Union St. Clair that cover the east end of the GTA in the food and beverage space. So reach out to me on LinkedIn. I got some cards here. I can't distribute those over there, but
but people know how to find you and they know how to find us. But
absolutely.
I think you nailed the really a point I just wanted to repeat of like you don't have to have a goal. You don't need money now, but like we're all going, like all the restaurants going into the busy season, and maybe you can talk to them about something they can do in the fall. Hey, you guys can achieve X goal. And you'd be in a great position to invest, in the fall, and that can be something that you work with your clients, throughout the summer. So how do we get you to here?
Absolutely. Right? I think it's having a conversation is very powerful. Because the business owners in the space, they know their business extremely well, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes it's having a conversation with someone else who, like someone who works in a financial institution, right? You might get some insight that you never thought about, or you have a dream. We take a lot of our customers out and a lot of our prospects out, for lunches, get to know them, just a networking thing. And more often than not, the lunch is when we really talk about the future. And those are the best conversations that we have.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times what these business owners are dreaming of, we can help make that a reality. And without having a conversation, it stays in that dream space, right?
That's it. And I think like so many people in food service, especially like the smaller restaurants, it's like it's their baby, it's their family, and they might be the experts at making incredible food, having great hospitality, but they need help on the business side. And I think that's super common where you guys are like, we've got you, because not only do we have the financial tools to help you, but we know food service. And that's the one thing that I learned today, which is very cool. Well, this was a really great conversation. I think that anybody in food service can benefit from having another conversation about how to better plan their finances for, with all the factors that we talked about, from supply chain to seasonality and inflation. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Dennis. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the day.
Absolutely. No, thank you for having me. This is great.
Awesome. Well, I think that's everything we have for now, but we're going to be back soon. I think we're going to be shucking oysters soon, eh? Yeah. Rock on. All right. We'll talk to you guys in a bit.